Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture. I am your host, Andrew Davis, and before I introduce my guest, I would like to remind everyone that you need to support and financially support things you love, whether it is this show, my guests' manga, or even corporate projects, because if you don't like that stuff doesn't get made. But enough of my PSA here. I don't want to bore you with all that stuff, and I don't want to be preaching. As I want to introduce my guest, who is a manga con slash comic creator, Tyler Carpenter. So welcome back to the show.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you on. Obviously, I enjoy Girl with the Mega Fist Volume 2. I'm actually glad that you brought it back to Kickstarter and that you actually had the ability to get both volumes, because I am getting both volumes and it is going on right now. But before we really dive into Volume 2 and what the hell is going on with it, what is the basic premise for those hearing about this for the first time?
Yeah, so the basic premise of the Girl with the Mega Fist is the Girl with the Mega Fist tells the story of Eliana, a girl who has been chosen by the gods to wield the powerful Mega Fist and is tasked to protect Earth alongside a partner chosen by the gods. However, the gods have chosen two twin brothers, in which she has to choose between the two which one she's going to take down to Earth. Is she going to choose the one that she loves, or is she going to choose the one that's more powerful? And as well, will they be able to, will they be able to defeat the demon god Baal, who's the mortal enemy of Earth? And so, yeah, that's the premise. It's a story about friendship. It's a story about fighting against destiny and questioning your belief system. There's a ton of action, ton of I feel like there's a lot of like slice of life moments where you just get to see the characters day to day. But in this particular volume, there's a ton of action. There's like a 90-page fight sequence.
Yeah, let's really talk about this, because obviously, Volume 1, we get introduced to the characters, we also get introduced to the premise, and we also get introduced to the fact that there is a lot of complication stuff going on where these three are friends. They've been friends for a while, they've kind of grown up together, and now we're starting to sort of see that a real choice is being made in that regard. And so it's fascinating. And obviously, Volume 1, in my opinion, sort of sets up the scene. And then Volume 2, we're now really getting into sort of the inner workings of what's going on. So what is this like to really evolve, from Volume 1 into Volume 2? Because I feel like Volume 1 is sort of the honeymoon phase a little bit, where there's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a threat, but really in Volume 2, we're starting to see that there are real life choices about to be made.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing that you picked up. Yeah, so with Volume One, we really explored kind of like the dynamic of the friendships between Eliana and then the two brothers, Dante and Angeal. And we got to explore kind of like what her relationship was with them, what they all kind of feel about the situation that they're in, and their individual feelings. I mean, you have Eliana, who she's in love with Dante, and Dante is like, "I love you, Eliana." Um, and they've almost made like a pact to like stick together, but at the same time, they're also friends with Angeal, who's Dante's twin brother, and Angeal is training just as hard as Dante and is more powerful than him, but he has a girlfriend who's like, Eliana, are you going to split us up by you choosing Angeal? And so we've created the conflict in Volume 1, and now in Volume 2, what we've done is the Volume 2 more focuses on Angeal, and kind of like his side of things. And what we're gonna see in Volume 2 at the very beginning is Angeal. I mean, I'll just spoil the first chapter of Volume 2 on your show. The first chapter of Volume 2 basically has Angeal going up to Dante and is like, "Hey, listen, dude, I don't want to go down to Earth with Eliana, and I know the consequences. The consequences of me being the one who isn't chosen means I'm quote unquote banished. So I'm fine with you going down to Earth with Eliana." And because of that, he's holding back his power. We're seeing him try to play off as like the weaker brother, and he's like, "I just want to be with my girlfriend Mia. I just want to be with my girlfriend Mia." And so because of Angeal's decision to like take a step back and go, I don't even want to attempt to be in this role. We're gonna see just the consequences of this decision throughout this entire volume. And the goal of the goal of this book is, by the time that the reader gets to the final page of this volume, the characters that we knew from volumes 1 and 2 have completely changed, their belief system and their mindsets based off of the events that happen, in this volume.
Yeah, let's really talk about this because obviously, I mean, there's some real life shit going on here, and there's some real life decisions where the fate of the Earth is on the line, and obviously we have a character who wants to be selfish, but at the same time, in his entire circumstance, it was bestowed upon him and his twin brother to be like, hey, one of you is gonna go with this girl, and there's two of you. That has never happened before, and they're also carrying that weight. And so it's really interesting to actually see a book that tackles this and also finalizes it in some way as well, where obviously a lot of final decisions are being made, which is what I feel like manga does best right now in storytelling. I feel like comics, mainstream in particular, and also somewhat in indie, there really isn't a fine line where what you've done in that first chapter, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I've set the stakes. Like the stakes for this first arc of the story is that Eliana has to choose. Like that's like these first 4 volumes are all about her choosing between these two brothers. So the first volume is all about the setup. The second volume is going to showcase, well, what happens when you quote unquote want to go against the gods. Volume 3, at the end of volume 3, the final page will be Eliana saying, I choose blank. So at the end of volume 3, she's gonna choose which brother, and then the fourth volume we're gonna see quote unquote the fallout of that choice. Did she choose the right one? What's the dynamic like now? Is one brother pissed off that they got chosen, or and so the first 4 volumes are all about that choice that she has to make, and then volume 5 and onwards is about Eliana and the brother that she's chosen. Basically, their time protecting Earth from the Sons of Baal, which is their spawns of the demon god Baal. And so we'll explore from volume 5 onwards their quote unquote servitude. When the gods choose a hero, they train for 20 years, and then they go down and protect Earth for 10. And so we'll start that. We'll start volume 5 onwards. We'll start their
Yeah,
time on Earth.
let's even back up for a second because obviously, I mean, you didn't even just set the stakes. I mean, obviously, Eliana is in a relationship with one of the brothers, and then the
Mm-hmm.
other brother has the girlfriend Mia. And obviously, I mean, now there are real consequences. If everybody was single, there's still consequences. But when you are in a relationship, and even the fact that you know that you might be chosen and then it might break up, and then there's resentment, and I mean, there's just a box of emotions that can be unpacked here. Not to mention that it's sort of hinted at that if you're in combat and you're training with somebody for 20 years and then you're protecting the earth for 10, that there is naturally going to be hinted at sort of a relationship that's going to form, whether that's a sexual relationship between the two heroes, or just a protecting relationship, or sort of bond. So what is this like? Because you didn't just set the stakes. I mean, you set pretty high stakes at
Yeah,
that. And that's what's so fascinating about this, is that even if the story was just about this, versus them now having to deal with the Sons of Baal, and preferably Baal at some point, gets interesting in that realm. That's what I really like about this. And it's very much manga, it's very much anime inspired. And it's a lot of shit to unpack here.
well, I mean, that's what I love about manga is it's not as like I mean, we love to read manga and watch like the anime adaptations and talk and like watch the cool fight scenes and all the power ups. We like that, but the real like meat of a manga story is the conflict that the creator has put their characters in. And you're right, like there's massive consequences that we've set up where if Eliana chooses Angeal, she's ruined, she's destroyed Angeal's relationship with Mia. But if she chooses Dante, he's the weaker brother. Is he going to be able to hold his own when it comes down to, going down to earth and
Or we could even
fighting?
challenge. We could even challenge is Eliana going to be stable enough? The fact that she ruined Angel's relationship, even though he's strong enough, or is that spiritual bond in there too? And this is where it gets
Yeah.
really interesting. Is that we have the mental component, and then we got the physical component, and then maybe I'm interpreting it a little bit different because I'm really into wrestling, and like there's the psychological element of wrestling, but there's the physical element, and both are needed when in a wrestling match. And this is how I'm viewing this a little bit, where which is more important, and I don't know the answer to that, and that's what's so fucking interesting about this
No,
book.
you're right on point with it. I mean, I've had readers go like, even if Dante isn't the strongest, maybe the bond that he has with Eliana will make their team work well. One thing that we do showcase, that we said it in volume 1, but we're showing it in volume 2, is one thing that in volume 1 Eliana's father says is, that the chosen heroes that are after Eliana, we don't see them currently, but their teamwork is way better than what Eliana has with any of the brothers. And you find out in volume 2 that it's really in order for the chosen heroes to defeat a son of Baal, there is some level of teamwork that needs to happen. And so we will, in this 90-page fight sequence, we will showcase what it's like with with Eliana fighting with Dante, and then versus fighting with Angeal, and we will see the difference, of that, and that will continue as well in volume 3. But there's also a ton of moments in this volume where Eliana's just crying because she's got the weight of the world. She's about to ruin her friendships. She's about to ruin lives. It doesn't matter what choice she makes. Something bad is going to happen on one end. And so, yeah, we do take the time to have moments of the cycle, but we also explore the physical consequences of the choice that she has to make.
Yeah, and it even goes further into this because I mean, no spoilers, but I just get the sense, and I'm going to take a stab at it. Um, I think they do okay in this fight, and they're still alive, but they get their asses handed to them. I mean, let's call a spade here, because there's a scene I know in the Kickstarter that says they need more work or something to that effect. And so it is crystal clear, I think, that while they survive the fight, and whatever this fight is, I'm not exactly sure, but they survive it. But it's crystal clear that these three individuals are not ready to be deployed down to Earth anytime soon. And
You're
I'm being
no,
generous here.
no, you're ab- no, I no, you're absolutely right. That's a good hint. Yeah, this fight's gonna be very intense. There's massive consequences to this fight, and yeah, what this is gonna what the goal of this volume is to showcase is is like how crucial it is that Eliana choose someone, because because the people who are training her, they know if Eliana chooses one of the brothers, that was the big dilemma in at the end of volume 1. Her father's like, if she chooses one person right now, they can spend the rest of their training period training one-on-one, and they're going to be powerful. Whereas because she's been training with 2 people, she's like spreading her resources, thin, and it's a master of some is a master of none, and that was dilemma. That was the dilemma at the end of volume 1. It was like she's got to choose someone right now. And at the end, the Guardians were like, "We don't now. Let her choose when the time is right." And at the end of volume 2, we're gonna see that she really needs to make this choice. She's really gonna need to make this choice, and that choice needs to be ASAP.
Yeah, no, because it's interesting, and obviously, I mean, there's going to be fallout there. There's going to be, hatred, and there's going to be complications. And there's also going to be the idea that did she make the right choice? And it's not that she chooses one of the brothers, even going into volume 3 and volume 4, and when they get deployed down to Earth. I mean, there's probably going to be scenes where she's like, I should have chose the other brother, and it really just creates this whole complication and then resentment and the bonds and all. It's really just a beautiful concept, and it's a beautiful problem. It really is a beautiful problem, and it's a writer's freaking
I like that.
dream.
I like how you say that. It's a beautiful problem. I like that.
No.
I like that,
It's kind of like
Rich.
if you have two great job offers and they're both great job offers, you have a great problem on your hands. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's what this is. I mean, and it's because it gives so much ability to write it a certain way. And I don't think that from a writing standpoint, I don't think you can make a bad writing choice with this, if that makes any sense.
I mean, I will say I know that I have a feeling that I have a feeling that the end of volume 3 that I will have some people going, I think she chose the wrong person, and I'm going to have to do some damage control and be like, well, I've hinted that she was going to choose the person the whole time.
I
So if
have your
you thought
solution
that
for you. Just
already
give him a cover, and whoever doesn't get it, just give them a cover.
That's funny. I'll have a phone call system. I'll be like, "Yo, let's all vote. Who does she get?" And we I'll change the
Will it be
text at the
15
end.
cents? Will it be 15 cents?
Yes. We'll
You know what
call it
I'm
like a
referring to, right? You
yeah.
know what I'm referring
Yeah.
to, right? I mean,
I think no, we won't let we will, if I let the readers choose, they chose the wrong person, I would have to completely rewrite my story. Like I know who she's picked from day 1, and that like everything that from that choice builds off of the rest of the story for the next 16 to 20 volumes.
we all know she's gonna pick Mia. Clearly, right?
Yeah, she's just gonna go. I don't need the two guys. I'm just gonna go for Mia. Exactly. I dig that.
That would be brilliant. I would give you mad props if you did that. I'd
That'd be
be like,
funny.
yeah. So many things. But even still, what is this like for you though? Because obviously, I don't think you hate the twin brothers. I think you like both of them equally as characters. But obviously, you gotta. We're not killing one of them off.
No, so so they're quote unquote they're banished, and so what that's gonna mean for them is that at the end of volume 4, Eliana and the chosen brother, they're going to go down to Earth to protect. The other brother who didn't get chosen, they also have to go down to Earth, but they're quote unquote not allowed to use their powers, and they're not allowed to socialize with anyone. And so they're sent to an isolated area. Um and so they're still in the story, but they have all of these quote unquote rules that that they've been given. However, something that happens in the volume 4 makes it so that the readers can still see what they're doing. In a sense, I don't want to spoil any more than that.
See, this is where I'm going with this though. Is that obviously, as the writer, when you kill off a character, right? It's always sad, especially if you like those characters. And sometimes in TV, a character leaves, but they don't kill off the character because I'll give you an example: Law and Order SVU, right? They didn't kill off Stabler, and now fast forward 12 years later or 10 years later, Stabler's back into the SVU universe, and everybody's thrilled. And so, what
Mm-hmm.
is that like for you as a writer, knowing that you're not killing off one of the brothers, but obviously that brother who didn't get chosen is still in the story, and well, anything could happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the brother who doesn't get chosen, they still play a massive role in the story. They're not gonna be gone. They will have regular appearances in every single arc.
So it's like Survivor. They're on Exile Island.
Correct. And I can't say why, and I can't say how they're going to be brought in, but there's something that happens
For
in volume
Tribal
4.
Council, right?
Huh?
For Tribal Council.
No. There's something that happens in volume 4 that gives one of the I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, the brother, we're not writing off the brothers. They will, even the chosen brother, even the non-chosen brother will still be an equal player in the story.
Maybe he'll go to Redemption Island.
A Redemption Island, yeah. That's hilarious.
Clearly, I am right now in like TV mode. Clearly, I'm watching a lot of weird stuff on television. I gotta
Sounds
say,
like it.
Survivor is awesome right now. It's the greatest show for so many reasons and all the wrong reasons. Is all I'm gonna say. But I don't want to push you too hard on this because obviously, I mean, the basic concept is that she has to choose one of the brothers, and then they're going to go down to Earth and deal with this stuff. And obviously, they survive an attack, and then a lot more stuff is going to happen in this once the choice is being made and the fallout and all that fun stuff. And there's going to be fallout. I mean, I don't think I'm spoiling anything, and I don't want to push too hard because obviously I want people to read this.
No, you're right. There has to be fallout. Like there has to be fallout. And there will be good fallout. Like the fallout's good, and um, like we haven't even introduced like the big baddie of this arc yet, and this villain who's kind of the quote unquote mastermind of the last of these first 4 volumes. We haven't introduced them yet, and they're gonna play a big part in in future volumes, and they will quote unquote like I've shown basically I've I've actually in those volumes 1 and 2, even in volume 1, I've actually showcased everything that someone needs to know for the entire arc. Like when we get to the end of volume 4, I'll be like, yeah, I hinted at all of that stuff in volume 1. I've been leaving breadcrumbs. And so I think for me, the thing I'm excited for, at least for this first arc, is I've left a lot of breadcrumbs. I'm excited to connect like a lot of the dots that I've been um planning. And then what's exciting about the next arc is continuing to connect some of the dots that I continue to spread in every volume.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's sort of being dropped, and obviously I've read the first volume. I didn't read the second volume yet. I'm
I
looking
should have
forward
sent it
to
to
it.
you. That was also my bad. Is for everyone who's listening, I forgot. Andrew reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, you should come on my show." He reached out to me in January, and I totally forgot. And then he messaged me like a week ago. He's like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Crap!" Like I feel bad. I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I forgot. I was like, "I'm not reaching out," but Andrew wasn't very nice to have me come on today, especially because you were so busy.
Yeah, no. For those who don't know, I'm on week 3 of a brand new job. I was fortunate enough that I was working from home today, and job's going good. Still a little nervous. I'm in the trial period, and it's going to take a few more weeks. But obviously, I'm working from home tomorrow too, so it's not that big of a deal, and it's perfectly fine. It's no worries. I'm a pretty quick interviewer. I still don't know what I'm doing exactly, but that's all right. But yeah, even to talk about that, and even just going into inside baseball, because I find what you do to be fascinating in comics, and we were speaking a little bit before about people making money and getting clever with how to fund a comic, because making comics is hard. The C word is hard, not creativity, cash flow. I want to make that crystal clear. And you take a very interesting approach, I feel, and I think your audience knows it well. But you use Patreon along with Kickstarter, And I think that this was all funded, or the majority of it was funded on Patreon first. And so, what is that like doing this in monthly installments or chapters, and also getting feedback, but also seeing money coming in as you release the work? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, so the Patreon, yeah, what's cool about the Patreon is the Patreon pays for um the two things right now. The Patreon pays for the exclusive edition, the exclusive Patreon editions for Patreon people. So like if I never did a Kickstarter, I would at least have the money to print the Patreon exclusive physical books and get them to Patreon members. The Kickstarter, the last Kickstarter I did, the Patreon paid for like basically everything, the printing of everything, with a few exceptions because I actually wasn't planning on selling so many extra books like my add-ons, and so I had to, I dipped into the Kickstarter funds for that. For this one, the Patreon paid for the Patreon exclusive covers, but then the Kickstarter is going to have to pay. The Kickstarter is going to have to pay for itself, which is fine because my margins are really good. But what the Patreon is also paying for right now is I'm working on another series called Chefs, which is one that I canceled a year and a half ago to everyone's shock. And after a year and a half of just like hating the story and being like, what can I finally found an artist I can work with who's like will bring my vision to life, and I'm using the Patreon funds to pay them, I paid them for the first installment of the book, and then I've got some commission work that will then pay for the rest of the books.
So let's even talk about something that is, I think, even more psychological. Obviously, a lot of people pay for a comic with outside money. So they might save up for a year, or they might forego investing. They might do something where they might find a way how to make money. They might drive Uber and save them money. However, they might take a second job somewhere, or they might scrape by money or borrow money. And then they run a Kickstarter, and then they collect it on the back end, and maybe they get $500 less than what they put in. But with your Patreon on a psychological, and this is how I'm viewing it, when you release a chapter and you have monthly people, you're actually seeing money coming in, and you're seeing that transaction immediately. And I think it changes the way you psychologically produce something. It's kind of like if you own, a deli, and you make a sandwich and somebody pays you for your sandwich right then and there, you see the inner workings of the business and you recognize them, and then it makes you work harder. And so what is that like for you? Because I think that is a very healthy thing when you actually see that your work produces money. I don't know if I'm explaining that
No,
well,
yeah,
but
well, it brings peace, that's for sure, because you definitely get scared. Like whenever you run a Kickstarter, you're always like, is this thing gonna make money? And so what's nice is when I go into the Kickstarter now, I'm like, I'm fine, because if even if I was to get zero monies, which is a great word, I'll still have the Patreon money that I can then print the book and mail it to my Patreon members, and I still have a book. So, I'm fine with that. There's this sense of comfort. I have never spent my personal money on any project of mine. I have always, if I make money in comics, or if I need to spend money in comics, I use the money that I made in comics to spend money on comics. So I've talked about the story a lot. Um, People are always like, Tyler, how did you do 15 issues of hiring an artist? 15 issues. So that was my series Demons. And I said, and they're like, how did you afford that? Like, you were working at Old Navy. And I was like, I didn't use any of my own personal funds. I I would draw I would draw 3 pages of comic work for someone, which would then get me enough money to pay for 1 page, 1 or 2 pages off of Demons. Um, and then, sometimes, and so so basically, just by being able to do that math, and I like the first arc was paid just by me drawing other people's comics. So I've drawn a lot of comics. I've drawn a lot of pages for a lot of people. Um, I think one of the best moves I made is I did a graphic novel for someone. They paid me 10 grand to do the graphic novel. And I was able to use half of that in some projects, and then the other half I wish I could keep, but that other half we had to use that for to to pay for our baby because those things are expensive. Um, but I've always like been like, if I want to do a comic book project and I need the money, it needs to come from comics. So like like this week, like even this week, I needed $100 to send over to my artist for chefs. And I'm like, I don't have $100 right now. And luckily, I had someone message me and they go, "You still do video trailers?" And I go, yes, I do. And I scroll through our messages. I did one for this gal in years ago for $20, and I was like, yes, I still do them. I do it for $100 now. And she was like, I'll see if I could do that. Comes back a day later. She's like, yeah, I'll pay you $100. And I'm like, sweet. $100 gets sent to me. I make her trailer. She's like, thank you. I send that $100 over to my artist. And so the nice thing about what I do is that I don't pull out anything from my personal money, because that's when things can get. That's when I think personal. That's when I think things can get really stressful. So if I don't make the money in comics, then if I don't have enough money in terms of my comic business, then I'm not going to do certain projects or hire certain
See,
artists.
that's interesting because in my eBay business, and full disclosure, I mean, I run an eBay store, and obviously I had seed money that started it up, so it's a little bit different. But when I'm buying stuff in my eBay business, it's nothing from my personal thing. The business is self sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
So I go through periods where if I don't sell anything for 6 weeks, I'm not buying anything for the business, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
if I sell 20 grand in 4 months, obviously I take a profit, you do your math, things like that, set aside money for taxes. And then I might have 6 grand that I now have to buy comps. Now I'm not going to go crazy and spend that 6 grand, but I have to, over a series of time, spend that 6 grand to buy new merch to replace the old merch. And so the business is self-sufficient. And while I might have invested over, 8 years, maybe 10 grand, I have a self-sufficient business now that doesn't require any new capital, allows me to take a distribution. And I think this is a big problem right now in comics. I think it's a big problem in life in general, but I think in comics, I think that if your book costs you 6 grand, that's your seed round. And then I see people keep on having to invest more money into it and more money into it.
Yes. They,
And
they
how the
don't
fuck
break
do you think
even.
it's okay if you put 6 grand in and you make seven, you can't take a distribution, but you're not losing money. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem when you put six in and you make five.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying you have to, break even on the first round, but if you're 3, 4, 5 in and you're not breaking even and you just lost 5 grand, I mean, you got to reevaluate your business plan. I'm not saying don't do comics. I'm saying take a step back and figure out what's going wrong.
Well, I think a big problem is, and I was talking with this with on another show last night, is that you have a lot of creators and they're very selfish in terms of how they make comics. They don't think about it as the business. They don't think the business side, and so they go, "I want this artist." And they write their book and it has to look a certain way. They will take no exceptions. It has to have this artist, and what this artist charges, I don't know, $300 per page. They think that that's a great deal. I'm like, this is your first comic. You're about to drop $300 per page, just like pencils. And they go, yeah. And I'm looking and I go, how long is your comic? And they go, oh, it's 20 pages. So I'm like, already you are 6 grand in just to do the pencils of your comic, and then colors, and then inks. And then I'm like, by the time they're done with production, they're looking at the production of their 20-page comic being $8 to $9,000. And I'm just like, okay, now you're doing a Kickstarter, you need to make around 20 grand to get your money back. You need to make at least around 20 grand to get your money back after like Kickstarter takes their fees, after printing off all your product. And when it's your first project, I'm not seeing first time creators hit 20 grand. And
It's very
so
rare. It's very rare.
it's very rare. And so I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years. I finally went over 8 grand. And so there's a part of me that's like, could you have maybe done this story with a different artist who would have charged less, upfront costs would have been smaller, and then maybe you can work your way up to get to this, I don't know, $300, I don't know, artist. I mean,
It, it, it goes to cost analysis. And this is the problem. And I'm actually working with my friend's a mathematician, and we're trying to figure out a formula because it really is a mathematical problem. And so people, I feel, don't do cost analysis on their books. And they don't do cost analysis with printing, with page rates, with covers, and they also don't associate with risk because you could have a book or a cover or an artist that's a 30% risk or somebody who's a 10% risk. And I think it's a real issue. And then, look, this isn't an easy math formula, and it's going to take a while, but I think it is mathematics when it really comes down to it. I think people don't understand that this is a business and that everything is cost versus risk. And so I think
Mhm.
that's the problem. I mean, look, if a cover artist is $100 or $150 and that's the difference, I think that's a little bit of a different if you're selfish in that regard. If it's $50, but when we're talking between 3 grand and 9 grand, that's a lot of fucking money.
That
To,
is a
to, to,
lot of money.
if it's three to
Well,
four $1,000 and you want to be selfish and you can eat the $1,000, I think and that artist is that much better. I think that's a fair discussion.
uh-huh. But you're right. I mean, I think like comic creators, they would save themselves a lot of time and pain if they opened up a spreadsheet. Um and they learned what Excel was or Google Sheets, and they just put in, okay, this cover costs this much, the pages cost this much, okay, printing is going to cost this much, I need to sell this much at this price in order to hit this amount of profit so that I can break even on the production. And is that the fun part of creation? Absolutely not. That's effing boring. But like that is what's gonna save your life. When creators go, Tyler, it doesn't make sense to me that you can sell a 200 page comic for $15 and make money. I go, trust me, I am in the green. I have spreadsheets upon spreadsheets. I am fine. Um, and I'm like, I am fine. Don't worry. What you should be worried about is you, because I'm doing the math on your Kickstarters, and you're not. There's making money. And so
I'm gonna throw something. I'm gonna throw something at you. I mean, look, I don't have as much knowledge in this realm, but I look at people's Kickstarters and I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, there's no way you're making money. And I look at it and I'm like, I'm perplexed. And I haven't produced a book, and I'm concerned. And I'm not the guy who should be talking. And the second I'm concerned, that should be a red flag for everybody. I mean, I'm good at numbers. I understand how to invest. I mean, I'm running my eBay business, but like I look at people and I know how much printing costs. I had a printer as a sponsor for 96 episodes. I know exactly how much it costs to print a book. I have an idea how much art costs. And guess what? Nobody factors in their time either and the stress of it. That's the other thing too that I think people don't factor in, and that's worth money. So I mean, it's mind-boggling to me.
here's the thing. I think one thing that we don't do in the comic community. I mean, we shouldn't, by the way, but we look at campaigns purely on how much they raised. When in real reality, like you could have a campaign that does $20,000, but you only got to keep like 2,000 of it, to me, I'm like, I'm doing better than you then, because I've raised 8,000 and I get to keep 5. So to me, it's like, yeah, like you might have big numbers. How much do you get to keep at the end of it? Because if you are doing 20,000, but like 18,000 of that is expenses, there's a problem. There is a fundamental problem in your business and how you are running it. You should be taking home way more than like 10% of the money. Those are terrible profit margins.
I'll be very honest. I didn't make any money on my Kickstarter in January when I ran, but I also didn't lose money because it allowed me to stay in business for a whole nother season, which is what the objective was. So but that's different. I didn't lose any money, and it's great. But my goal was not to make money. It was not to have an expense, which is good because it buys me time to find a sponsor, which is where I will make my real money on. But so if your objective is that if you have a publisher on the line for your comic book and your goal is just to cover the first round printing, but that's a business plan again. But I think even people don't even think about it like that. And I just think that I think that there's a lack of financial education in the comic book world. I really do.
Oh, there totally is. There absolutely is a lack of financial. There's also there's a lack of financial, and what sucks is the people who need to learn it, they learn it through so much pain and suffering that they can't it's almost too late. Like, they learned it the hard way, and now because there's so much in the hole, they can't make the second book. And as well, there's a lot of marketing. There's like a lot of marketing information that is just completely lost because as creatives, we care about the story, we care about the art. But like, if you want to start selling stuff, you have to think, okay, you need to start thinking business and marketing, and a lot of people don't have the time to maybe read a business and marketing book or take an online course or further up their education. So I think there's a lot of knowledge that's lacking in that department.
I'll throw you an even bigger word. I'll throw you the R word. And the relationships. I was
going to say retarded.
I was going to use that one. I was going to use I'm a professional here.
Yeah, me too.
But relationships. Seriously, if you want to get on my show, there's 4 ways how to get on my show. I got no problem saying it. Look, if you really want to get on my show, I get booked and I get, a variety of guests on my show. You got to figure out what I want. Look, if you really want to get on my show, why don't you say, hey, yo, you got to buy me a coffee. Look, let me throw you $5. I like your show. Better yet, why don't you say, hey, I could accommodate your schedule. Hey, let me send you my book. Hey, I got 4 friends who might also be helpful. Let me introduce you to some people. And I think that's the other thing too, that people have forgotten that I want something and you want something. Let's try to get each other what we both want. And I think that that's a thing when we go to podcasts.
That is an inch. That is, and I'm with you, dude. I am with you. That is a very, which by the way, we have 6 people here. Make sure you guys all sub to Pop Anime Comics, to Andrew's channel. That is something though that people don't want to hear. But I'm with you, dude. Whenever I have like a what's it called? Like a comic creator come on my show, and they'll always be like, hey, thanks. That was fun. There's a part of me that wants to then go, when can I come on your show? And then the answer is always, I don't have anything. I don't have a show. I don't got squat. And it's like, so you won. You got something out of me, and I get nothing. And it doesn't matter. Like, to me, I don't do things for like expecting something, but if I'm more likely though to want to stick around with people who are gonna like help me. You know what I mean? Like who are gonna bring me some kind of value. And if you don't really have anything to offer, that can get that to me. And that's another thing. It's like when I talk with creators on the show, they don't have to offer me anything. But I will say the ones who I want to keep around, it means that it's because we're networking. We can be friends. We can grow. I mean, I'm friends with Nicholas Mueller, and um, he doesn't do regular YouTube vids, but I know him and I are gonna promote each other. But even better than that, I know that him and I, now that we're Nicholas and I are very good friends, I know that like I have someone I can bounce ideas off of. Um, like I can like Nicholas and I, like literally at the beginning of this year, Nicholas and I were up till like I think 2 or 3 a.m. just looking at like reading business and marketing stuff, studying graphs, looking at Kickstarter, doing trends, and going, what can we do to better ourselves? And what's great about that is now him and I, like now we're starting to do like our the best Kickstarters that we've ever done. And so the value that I've gotten out of Nicholas is I've one created a friend, but two, I have someone I can bounce ideas off of. Um, and you know he'll send me videos. Yo, you gotta check this out, and then I'll go, hey, you gotta check this out. So we're constantly building each other up. Whereas sometimes I just get creators and they go, can I come on your show? Okay, hi, and then bye, and I don't hear from them until their next Kickstarter, and that's not the kind of relationship that I want.
I mean,
With a
I could tell you a
creator.
horror story where that's how it is for me. I'm like, hey, who do you know? Because let's even economically, like, who do you know in the comic book world that you can make an introduction for me? Who can you know? And it's helpful. I mean, seriously, like I ask wrestlers this. I say, hey, look, can you do me a solid? I know you're friends with so and so. They're your tag team partner. Can you put in a good word for me? Because guess what? If you can grease the wheels in a very busy, complicated world, and you can get me an interview, or you could at least get me a little bit of a name, it's helpful, and it makes a difference. And I think that's something that people forget. I really do. And then look, you know what is? A bunch of people are on my show, and they don't want to talk to me on their show, and it's weird. And I don't get it. But my point is that when I am on somebody else's show, I promote that show probably about 25 times for 25 weeks straight on Twitter. So like again, like I have people who have said to me, "Hey, thanks for having me on your show." I say, "Hey, could you put on your wall?" They say, "I'm sorry, your podcast is not my business, but you were just on my show. You were just on my show. So what are we talking about?" It's bewildering to me. But I think that there's a real problem with this, and I think it's unfortunate. And I think people just don't appreciate media, and I don't think they realize that I have interviews that have been around for 10 years. And so it's like, and I guarantee you this interview is going to be around for 10 years. And you don't know what it's going to direct traffic to for you.
Yeah, yeah. It's all about like the moves that it's all about, which is why, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't understand like what marketing can do. Like you said, this YouTube vid will live on the internet for as long as it's available. So when someone when someone one day types in the growth of Megafists on YouTube search, hopefully this will pop up. And so there's benefit for me coming on this show. And there's benefit of me coming on this show because you're gonna put Growth the Megafist on the title, and 5 years I'm gonna get I still might be getting dividends from this video. And I don't think creators know what the word dividends mean, and then two, I don't think they
My
know
favorite word. It's my
I don't
favorite
think they
word.
know why it's so important. And so
I'll explain when you're done speaking why the word
yeah,
dividend is one of the
yeah,
most important words in the English language. So,
yeah.
so, so
No, go
I'll
for it.
explain briefly for everybody who wants to know what a dividend is. So a dividend is an investment term. What it means is that there are stocks in the S&P and just the stock market that for holding them, they actually give you cash, whether that's quarterly, monthly, twice a year, 3 times a year, or once a year. And basically, they're returning capital to shareholders. In this case, if you come on my show and the show pays dividends, that means that is essentially returning you some form of value over and over and over again. Now, it could be returning you value every day. It could be returning value twice a year, but that form of value could be that, hey, your link's in there, directs to the Kickstarter, and then, or directs to your store, and then you make a sale. And so I don't think creators understand how valuable an interview is. And it doesn't matter what it does today. It matters what it does, I think, 5 years from now. I have interviews that have done, 9,000 views. I have interviews that have done 800 views. And guess what? As you're also in my show, you might be right next to a pretty prominent voice actor or actress or a wrestler or somebody. And guess what? You're going to get traffic because of that.
I don't know. I don't know if you knew this. So, Girl with the Megafist is going to be published through Antarctic Press next year in their Manga Z anthology, starting in January. And how that came to be, I didn't even submit the Girl with the Megafist to Antarctic Press. What happened is that a year and a half ago, I think probably closer to 2 years now, I had Ben Dunn, founder of Antarctic Press, on my show. And him and I were talking, and he's like, "What are you working on?" And I'm like, "I'm working on this book called The Girl with the Megafists." And he was like, "Oh, well, I'd love to see what it looks like, and thanks for having me on the show." And so I sent him a follow-up email, and it was just like, "Hey, Ben, thanks for coming on the show. I had a great time. We had a great conversation. Here's the PDF for the first couple chapters of The Girl with the Megafists. And yeah, once again, thanks for being around." I don't talk to him ever again for 2 years. And then a couple months ago, I get an email from Ben saying, here's the PDF of Manga Z number 9. Will you please approve it? And I go, I don't know what Manga Z is. I click on the link, and lo and behold, it's Manga Z, Antarctic Press. And then I'm looking, and there's Girl with the Megafist pages on there. And I'm like, uh-oh, what is this? I didn't submit anything to Antarctic Press. We have not talked about any of this stuff. How did you get the Girl with the Megafist? So I call up their offices. They're like, "Oh, Ben, that's Ben. You can talk with him." So I messaged Ben, and I'm like, "Hey, Ben, what is happening?" And he goes, "Oh, he goes, I was like, this was a submission. This was just a friendly email." And he goes, "Oh, you're right. I thought I talked with you about doing this. I guess I didn't. Do you still want to be on my Manga Z? And you can be in there every single month until we don't want it." And I was like, "Sure, why not then? It doesn't hurt me. I've already put the book out. They're only going to put it in 8 to 10 pages every single month of my book. So yeah, why not? I've got 400 at this point." But what the point of this is I can now say I'm published through Antarctic Press. It's going to be in Diamond. Those were two goals I never really had, getting published by Antarctic Press or getting published in Diamond. But now I can say that I am published through Antarctic Press. I can now say I'm going through Diamond, and it's all because 2 years ago I did a 45-minute interview with someone, and it just so happened that I accidentally got rewarded 2 years later for something that I did.
I'll tell a story too. So I had somebody on my show, and I'm not going to say who it is, but they were talking about their book, and then a director saw it, and now they are actually producing and in the process of producing a film, and there's real investors and there's real money involved.
I want this. If you're listening, person who does kind of stuff that Andrew just said, hi, my name's Tyler. Andrew's so great. Andrew's just fantastic. And yeah, Girl with the Megafist would be a great TV show, and anime's popping. So call me if you want to make some real money.
But if somebody's director, the same director is watching, the point is that they came across the interview and they reached out to my guest, and now there's real money involved. He wrote the screenplay, and then it's not a joke, and that thing might be done in 2024. And so now it's weird because things pop up, and I don't think people really understand necessarily what an interview does and who's watching it. I mean, it's complicated because certain things trigger algorithms, and I think it's a real issue that creators don't understand that. Look, I mean, I have 462 subscribers on YouTube, but obviously somebody saw something like, oh man, this is cool, and then well now somebody is basically writing a screenplay for a movie with real investors. So it's weird, it's complicated, but relationships, guys, the R word.
Build them and build good ones. I build good relationships. Don't build transactional relationships where it's just you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Like do
Sometimes you
like
need it though, Tyler. Sometimes you need it.
I'm not saying that you don't. There are some relationships where it can be transactional, but if everything you're doing
it was a bad joke. It was a very bad joke.
Oh,
It was a very bad joke.
Some people, but like yeah, like I think there are some times where it's okay to have a transactional relationship, but I mean it's always best to like not if you're constantly expecting something from someone, I can see that hurting your business at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I was just making a really, really bad, dirty
I liked
joke.
it, though.
That's not the point here.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
But obviously, I mean, it's really interesting, and clearly so. And also, when you build relationships and you're on people's shows, and I'm just going to say it, you know what it is? Actually treat people who are interviewing you and helping you out and pushing out your shit. Treat them nicely because it goes a long way. It goes a long way in a lot of ways. Pleases and thank yous. And hey, I really appreciate shooting me a message, shooting me a gift of something is always good because it actually shows effort. And I think that's the other thing too, is that if somebody shoots me a gift of like a little hamster chewing a carrot after our interview, I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny, or something relevant, right?
And it's just like also as well, do you want to be invited back on? Like if I was like the whole time like, hey, what's up, Andrew? You're a piece of shit. You suck. And then we do our show, and then a week later, hey, can I come back on? You're gonna be like, no, I didn't like you. I didn't like our interaction. That sucked. That was a horrible interview.
That's the thing. I interviewed somebody, and I felt like I was pulling fucking teeth out of them, and it was hard. And then you know what it is? I reached out to them. I was super swamped. I didn't feel like having them on, and then I skipped one of their books, and then I came back on, and then they were responding to me, and they were being playful in like their response to my interview. And I'm like, I'm a fucking professional show. Like, don't if I'm asking for it, don't ask 15 questions when I send you my booking link. I have a booking link for a reason. I don't want to be the secretary and the booker. I send out a Calendly link because guess what? I have shit to do. Don't ask 15 questions and don't be playful with me. I'm not in the mood. We can have a good time, and obviously you and me are being somewhat playful right now, but don't be playful when I'm trying to book an interview. It's just it's a pet peeve of mine.
Real quick, Delicate Art has a question. She says, as far as submitting things, would you guys ever? I think I would like to do a one shot first. To answer your question, Delicate, I think if you were to submit a one shot to a Antarctic Press and say I want to get into their manga Z line, because they're always looking for submissions. What's great about their anthology series, if it's a one shot, it's a one and done, and I think they're more likely to take that if it's like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 pages. I think I think that'd be a great idea. Worst case scenario, you can use that comic as a lead magnet for something else in the future.
Also, what sometimes happens is that I mean, they got like jungle comics, they got exciting comics, and I know that somebody who did Green Tempest, I know that was done, and it was done in a very short print run, but now it's being broken up in an Antarctic Press book. So that's another thing too, is that sometimes it's done the opposite way, where you might do a comic and then it might be broken up into 3 parts. And anthologies. So that's not, there's nothing wrong with that either. and I've seen that. And again, I'm not on. I haven't produced a book, but I've just seen it as a consumer.
No, you're 100%.
But yeah, so getting back to you, in which that obviously the long tangents are fun on this show. And work is going to really be rough tomorrow. My commute from to the kitchen table is a tough one. Those 30 feet are really rough in the morning.
Okay.
I love working from home. That's all I can say. But what is this like for you? Because obviously you're doing an American manga,
Hmm.
and I think that's something that is also interesting. Where for you in particular, I mean, I don't know how big manga is on Kickstarter. The only other manga that I bought that's an American manga was Shotgun Samurai, and I interviewed the guy twice, and then he's great, and I can't wait to have him on for a third time because it's a brilliant
Oh,
book. Um,
the quaff,
yes.
Donkey
But
Madness.
he did that, but it's like Dashel or Danshel something, right?
I don't know. I know he goes by the quaff
No. I don't
on
think that's
Twitter.
him. I think that might be somebody who was working with him.
Okay, fair, yeah.
But
Um,
but it's associated, yes. But you know the book I'm talking about, right?
yeah. I think this is very interesting. I think that I think that I'm currently positioning myself in a good place right now because I foresee and I'm not even foresee, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of comic book creators going, this manga thing's big, I should jump on it. Um, One thing that I had the benefit of is I had that feeling already like a year and a half, 2 years ago. But what I had a benefit of as well is I grew up reading manga and drawing manga and anime. And then I was like, oh, I want to do comics. I could never get my style right. So when I came back to doing manga aesthetics, it was very easy for me to pick up. And so for me, I think I'm in a good place right now where there isn't a lot of manga on Kickstarter, but I think that we are going to see in a few years a lot. And I can then say I'm one of the OGs. But as well, what I'm seeing as well is that those who are trying to do quote unquote I like how Mrs. H says it, Amerimanga, or I don't know, just like American manga, is that they treat American manga still like a comic book. And they're treating the business like a comic. And to me, I'm like, you can't do that because the manga fans
Yeah.
are completely different. And so that was one of the big reasons why like I think Shotgun Samurai was $25. Um was
It was
25
20. It was
20
20.
bucks. And for me I'm like I need to get mine down to 15. Ideally I'd love to get my book to 12. I just couldn't do it. So because of the paper crisis, the paper shortage. The goal
Let's talk about this a little bit because I'm a big Crunchyroll guy. I was Sony is clearly taking a big bet on it. For those who don't know, Sony bought Funimation for 100 mil, and they bought Crunchyroll for about 1.2 billion. Um, and there's a reason why. I mean, anime is bigger than ever. It's only going to get bigger. We are at the impetus. This is the first inning of the anime revolution.
Yes.
Apparently, Sony is cleaning house from Funimation. Um, there's a lot of things going on. And I don't know how well aware of you are on the anime side, but it does affect the manga to some degree because it's just Crunchyroll owns a fuck ton of manga shit too, apparently. So yeah, I mean we're at the golden age of this stuff, and it's the first inning still. I mean, there's a long game ahead for manga and anime right now.
Correct. And so for me right now, for me everything I'm doing right now is how can I position myself. Um, so like right now with like how I'm treating my YouTube channel, I'm trying to treat my YouTube channel um, way different right now, and it's very like I want a viewer to come in and go, "This is how you make manga. This is manga that you should read." Trying to change up the books I make are very manga aesthetic. With the girl with the mega fist, chefs, very manga um, aesthetic. As well, I'm then going, okay, now how can I get my books into every person's hand without having to use Kickstarter? Okay, let's do my online store. My online store does around anywhere from 100 to $500 a month right now, which is good and which is bad because this sounds like this. I'm very grateful, by the way, anytime someone buys something from my online store, but it means that I have to fulfill the book. It means that I have to be in my basement, get a box out, get the bubble wrap, get the book, get my label maker out. It's just a pain in the butt. And so it's like how can I get people? And so right now I've been doing this for the last year. It hasn't worked out. I'm now working with a new company, trying to figure out how can I get my books on Amazon. How can I get it so that if someone buys my book on Amazon, I don't have to touch it. I just get the money. And so, I currently have available the Kindle, but right now I'm working with a company right now on getting the physicals so that with the Kickstarters going forward, I don't have to constantly be reprinting every single freaking volume. I can just go, yo, you missed volume 1, go to Amazon, and this is where you can get it. And they'll ship
And
it to
I'm,
you in
I'm
a week.
presuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you don't have a problem taking a little less money if somebody's doing
Abs-
fulfillment for you.
Absolutely. I'm okay with losing an extra $3 or $4 if it means that I don't have to.
You get where I'm going with the question, right?
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with losing $2 or $3 if it that when if it means I'm still making money while I'm sleeping. Um,
That's how I feel. I mean, I can tell you with my comic class, and I need to figure out how to do this. I'm going to offer a 20% commission for anybody who gets me a new user to my class, and then it's high. Because guess what? I mean, it's worth every penny. It's worth every penny.
mhm.
Because again, I would rather make. I believe in the concept that I want to share wealth if somebody brings me wealth, right? And so if somebody can make my life easier or get me a new buyer, backer, or sponsor, they should get a piece of it. Because when you share wealth, people want to do business with you.
I like that. I like that. I don't have the same like you're very I don't have the same financial mind like you or skill set in that matter. But I think what you're doing and what I think I'm doing as well is we're also trying to educate people. And I think and you're educating people based off of the experiences you have. I'm doing the same thing, and I think at that point, if you can educate people, people are gonna want to stick around with you a lot longer because they see the benefit um, of keeping you around. I mean, if I say, hey, I learned how to do this from Tyler, you know, I can then go, yeah, like my goal, honestly, when it comes to a lot of things I do is can I can I be the YouTube channel, at least with my YouTube, can I be the YouTube channel that I wish that I had had when I started making stuff? And so that's one of my goals. But yeah, going back to the whole manga thing, you're right. Like we are in the inning number 1, and right now it's like, how can I position myself correctly? So it's like, how can I get the books out to everyone? How can I make the most books? A lot of creators, they cannot push out the amount of volume that I'm able to. Next year alone, I'll be putting out 3 graphic novels. This year, I put out 3 graphic novels. Every year for the next 4 or 5 years, I will be pushing out 3 to 4, like 3 graphic novels. Um, and so when manga finally hits that indie scene, you're gonna get these people who are like, oh yeah, so and so has a volume 1, and naturally when it comes to reading you want to binge, and you're gonna be like, oh well, there's no volume 2, whereas they can find me and go, he's already on volume 10. If he's on volume 10 in the indie scene, he must be doing something right. And so yeah, right now my goal is just to I put it in my Patreon post today, suffer in happiness. I'm okay with working stupid hard this next 2 years if it means that it's going to set me up going forward.
I've worked stupid hard for the last 5, and yeah, I purposely set myself up very, very well. But I'm also very private about it. But people don't understand that I figured out something about 5 years ago that has made me and is going to make me very, very wealthy. I mean,
But
it's going
the
to.
smartest thing to do is to work in silence. Because here's the thing: if you are working in silence, then and all you're gonna do is just surprise people, and people are not. And then when you come swing in, but also like as well, just because I know what you're doing, and I'm doing the same stuff. I'm doing the same stuff, a little slower rate than you are, for sure. But it's like those things are the things that I don't think people like you and I ever actually have to talk about. Like you and I never have to talk about those things. One, they're not that interesting, and then two, um, they're because they're not comics related. People are like, oh, I don't have to do that. When to me, it's like, oh, if I can just focus on the comics, and or people like go, oh, he only makes his money on comics. When it's like, no, I actually make my money on like 10 other things. Um, to me, I think there is something cool about being silently successful.
I'll be very honest. What I do is ultra fascinating because I have broken it down to a science on what I do as an alternative investor, and it is beyond fascinating. But you can
It's
go.
fascinating that you've done it with comics. I think that's what makes you very unique because I
I've done
know a
with
lot of
comics,
people.
baseball cards, and pop Funkos,
Yeah,
and that's what
you've
makes me
you've
beyond.
turned the Western collectible market into your own cash cow. And
Yeah,
and that's very different than people who going, if I buy Hulk number 7, one day I can flip it for 1,000, and you're like, I can turn that into 10,000.
I bought
Um,
a book about a week ago that I for $25 that I sold for 120. I don't even have the book in my possession yet.
you've already sold it.
Yup.
See, there you go.
It gets better. It gets better. It was in a pack of 5. The pack was 125. So legitly, I have 4 other books, and I am negative $5 in.
Well, that's awesome.
So now I have 4 other books that are probably going to bring me about $200. So I am going to make about 195 on it.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting with your course because I don't think it's something that creators are going to be interested in. I think it's going to be more collectors, and I think you're going to get people who are like, this is awesome, and then I think you're going to get people who are like, this doesn't make absolutely any sense.
This class teaches you the basics. It's the fundamentals. That's all it is. Is that there's no top 10 list. This is the fundamentals, and you need to know this. And if you're an investor or you're a collector, if you're a collector, this class is good for you too, because if you can get a book for $30 cheaper, you can get more shit. If you want to make money, you want to get it for cheaper, because the cheaper you get something for, the more spread you have. And that's what I teach. And I'm teaching research. I'm teaching how to build a budget. I'm teaching you grading, and I'm teaching you exits. And this is just the impetus. Wait till we get to artist mastery like 2.0. I got 15 other class ideas, and I'm coming. This is my sector, and this is my area. And but there's a formula in there that's really beneficial. It's the ratio formula, and that's an unbelievable formula that everybody in Kickstarter needs to know. But hey, that's up to you guys. Everybody's watching it. But I
When do you think
digress.
your course? When do you think your course is going to come out?
I'm 65% done recording it. I just had a Mac issue that delayed me by 2 weeks. It's supposed to come out actually in about a week and a half, but it's probably going to come out drop end of October.
Nice. How much are you charging for it? Do you know?
$40 on Udemy.
Oh, that's a great price.
It's about 18 hours to 22 hours.
How
My
come you?
goal, my goal is not to be expensive. My goal is to provide a reasonable position and
And build a network, and then you're building a network.
and then get class two, get class three. But also, look, I'm trying to educate people. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not here to screw somebody and be one of those people saying my class is $10,000. Now, if you want me to build your eBay business, I'll do that for 15K, and
Have
that's a
have
70-hour freaking class. That's
have you
long.
thought about doing, not through Udemy, but doing it through like a paid Discord channel?
You know what it is? Honestly, I don't know much about Discord, and it's not really my jam. Um,
Because I
to
know like
me,
someone like Andrew Tate, he like it was a paid Discord channel, and once you pay the money, you then, once you get in, then there's all the videos, but now you also have that community aspect of.
but what happened with Andrew Tate is crazy because Andrew Tate is a pyramid scheme. I mean, it's insane because he had a bunch of people who were not Andrew Tate teaching it, and there's some things in Andrew Tate that are very good. Um, but a bunch of it is just a disaster. And then there was like he was given like 60% affiliate commissions. There's a lot of stuff at Andrew Tate. Now, technically, what I probably should do is I should put it on ClickFunnels, and I just don't want to pay $100 a month. That's the whole thing, is that I want to do this with the lowest cost. Not to me. Udemy takes a percentage of it. They don't charge me a fee. That's why I like Udemy, because Discord is just going to be a pain in the ass to put it behind a paywall, and then censor it, and then have it. And also the community thing. If I want a community, I'll just create a private Facebook group with the
Fair.
invitation at the start of it, and I'll do it that way. And that's probably what I'm going to do, because that's also easier. That also gives me more data points. But if I was really smart, I would build it on ClickFunnels. But I don't feel like spending $1,200 a month, not a year. But because Ty Lopez does that on ClickFunnels. But this is. I mean, this stuff's ultra fascinating. I mean, technically, it's awesome what this is. But Udemy is where it's going to be initially, and then where it goes from there, or where class 2 goes and all that stuff, I'm not too sure. But I figured $40, it's a reasonable price.
It's a good start. It's putting it on
It, it's
Udemy.
also the idea that, look, it's enough money that you have a stake in it, but it's not going to, I guess, destroy somebody, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. I mean, I I did a I paid for a course. It was $800, and I was like, luckily I got a ton out of it. But if I didn't, I would have been like, what the f? I just lost $800 off of crap. So yeah, no, I think $40 is
I
is
bought
well valued.
classes for $40, $50, and I was like, I got half of it was good, half of it was bad, but I've gotten stuff out of it. I bought classes for like $15. Obviously, I think $40 for where I'm at and what I'm doing, and it's going to be great. But that's the whole point, is that I want to educate people, because look, I mean, I'll tell a story. You might have seen this. So Tyler, how familiar are you with graded books?
Not very at all.
So I'm gonna ask you a question, and if you don't know the answer, just let me know. So you know, if you have a signed CBCS book, do you open that book to get it graded by CGC, or do you leave it alone?
Oh man, I have no idea what anything you just said means.
Okay, so there's two grading companies, and this is such an interesting story. So CGC, when you get a signature on a book, they have to witness it. If they don't witness it, it gets a green label. So some guy had some CBCS books that were graded, witnessed, they were great. He decided to open them up and send them to CGC for them to get graded. And then, because a CGC book gets maybe $50 to $100 more per book. So what happened is that he had these beautiful signatures that were authenticated. They get graded and they come back as green labels because they were not witnessed. Signatures. The guy probably cost himself 15 grand.
Jeez.
Now, you know where the answer to that question was? On CGC's website, on what books they consider to be signature sign.
Where that answer is on your course.
It's on my course too, but guess what? It's not even on my fucking course. It's on the website. The same website the guy submitted to, it was there. And this is what I'm talking about is, but like that, I mean, I mentioned that in my course, but I give better stuff. I give like more secret stuff. But my point is that this is the moronicness of, this is why people need my course. Because despite an answer being front and center, people still don't have the answer to the question. So they need a course because apparently an answer is right in front of you and you don't know it. I don't know how to tiff a book, right? So if somebody said, Andrew, here's how you tiff a book for $10, I'm probably going to spend money on it because I need to know how to tiff a book. Maybe tiffing a book is not the best example, but you get where I'm going with this, right?
I don't know what tiffing a book is. I know nothing about this world.
You're just messing with me now.
I promise you I don't. I don't know anything about CGC grading.
No. Tiffing a book has nothing to do with grading.
What's tiffing a book?
The TIFF file.
Oh, yeah, I know what that is. Okay.
I don't know how to tiff a book is my point. Meaning that I've never done this before and I've never made sure that it's in a TIFF file and all that stuff. So somebody had a class saying, hey, here's, for $10, the 10 things you need to know about sending your book to a printer. I might buy that class because I don't have the answer to that, right?
Uh-huh.
And so even though that stuff is available publicly, it might just be easier for me if somebody is very good at explaining it to me that I'll pay them. And so there's information in my class, and I'm very upfront about this, where that information is out there, some of it, but guess what? All this information is in one place. So I've gathered information for you, and I also explain it to you in a very simple way that you might understand versus some website that is going to beat the shit out of you on it and is going to confuse the fuck out of you. I explain it almost like your friend and you are grabbing a beer at a bar and you're talking.
Nice.
And I don't speak down to you. I say, hey, look, we'll all start somewhere. And if you know this stuff, I treat you in my class as if you know nothing, but I'm not condescending because that's how people learn. The worst thing you can do to somebody is teach them and be condescending. But I digress.
100%.
I don't want to give all my shit away for free right now.
Someone's just recording this.
No. I mean, I give information. Every other week I talk about comics and I give my thoughts on YouTube on a separate channel, and that's all free too because I believe in free education as well. And honestly, if somebody asked me a question, I'd probably give somebody an answer. If you shot me a DM on Twitter about a comic and said, hey, I know you're busy, Andrew, but hey, I got a question about this. Like I've had people call me up in Walmart. Like I'm shopping around. Like, should I sell my book? And I had somebody legitimately have a $21,000 book that they were getting $7,000 offers for and call me up and say, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Like again, I spoke to the person for like a half an hour and I was happy to. Because again, it doesn't cost me anything for the most part. This one was grateful. Actually sent me a gift card too, which was nice.
That's that relationship stuff right there.
Yeah, but getting back to this, I would rather talk about manga because this is way better. This is not supposed to be about me. This is supposed to be about you. This is not Drawn Talk. In Drawn Talk, we talk about everything but the book. On this show, we're supposed to talk about everything about the book and nothing about the rest of it. So clearly, this has become another Drawn Talk episode by Tyler.
Hey, we're just having a silly goose time. That's all that matters, man.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be like my highest live streamed episode ever. Actually, it's not. The Dawn Mateague and JP Roth episode was pretty high on the list. That thing did really well, but that's because it's Dawn Mateague, and I love Dawn Mateague. She's so good. And JP Roth is great too. Two amazing women. But anyway, I digress. Yeah. So you got like 20 plus volumes planned.
Yeah, dude, I know literally every aspect of this story. It's all planned out to the T. Obviously there's some like portions that I'll probably like rearrange and change, but for the most part it's very set in stone.
So what
The
is
story I'm
that
doing.
like to have
It's
it
ex-
planned out like that and just even have like the battle plan going into it? Because that is fascinating to
it's
me.
it's extremely exciting because I literally look forward to every page that I draw. And I think that's something that a lot of comic book artists struggle with is they have all of the moment they have like they want to draw certain moments, and because they don't have the full picture of what they're doing, they don't appreciate how just like the little moment, that like panel that you're hating to draw that day, is gonna, you know, how that small panel is gonna impact your full story. And so for me, knowing that I know how the story is going to end, I just get so excited with every page because I know I'm one step closer to getting like to the next volume. I mean, right now right now I'm contracted by Band of Bards, which is a publisher, to draw a graphic novel, Coins of Judas, which will be out next year in comic book shop. And so right now that's what I'm currently drawing, and I'm having so much fun drawing that book. It's some of my best work. It's not manga or anime style. It's very Western comic. But gosh, I would be lying if I didn't say I just want to get back to drawing the girl with the mega fist. Like, I am itching to get back into that world. Um, I'm anxious to start volume 3. Like, I want to. I know I already have every page and chapter planned. So it's like I'm like, get me in here. Like, I feel like I'm on the bench, and I'm just like, coach, put
So,
me in
so,
the
so
game.
what is that like? Because obviously, I mean, every once in a while, like sometimes I take 2 weeks off from the show, and even in those 2 weeks, I'm like, oh man, I really want to get back to interviewing. I want to get back to doing like certain guests and certain people that I'm excited to have on the show. And so it's a weird feeling, and even just like even at my job, actually I like my job right now, but it's also brand new. But like sometimes in life, there gets to a point where it's just like you're excited to be doing something, right?
Yeah, like I
I
haven't
feel like
gotten.
it's lacking in comics right now. Like I feel like there are people who love comics and they're here, they're lifers. So they love it. They're not here just for the money. They want to make money. That's not the issue. But also they don't breathe it every freaking second. Like I breathe, my eBay business every minute. I breathe a lot of my podcast throughout the day. I'm always thinking about it. And I think that's something that's a real problem in comics where you seem to be wanting to breathe this, 24/7. I mean, maybe not 24/7, but a lot of the day. So I think it's a problem in comics. I think there's something missing, I feel, from certain people right now.
My boss, I went out, I was like I was like, today I was with my coworker and I was like, dude, I'm dying, I need a caffeine. Let's get a caffeine run real quick. And my boss, she's like, can I ride with you guys? And we're like, okay. And so she's riding with us and she's like, Tyler, what do you do for fun? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like when like your wife is doing something, or and the kids are all down, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, I'm working. And she goes, no, like, really, what do you do? And I'm like, no, I'm working. I'm downstairs and I'm working. She goes, well, what about like playing? Like, don't you like play video games and whatnot? I'm like, yeah, I play for like 20 minutes a day, maybe. Or I play probably in total like an hour's worth a week. And she's like, oh, like my son plays like 4 hours a day. I'm like, yeah, I don't do that. And she's like, oh, do you watch TV? I'm like, no. And she's like, what about movies? I'm like, occasionally. And occasionally I'll watch a TV show. Occasionally I'll watch a movie. Um, and she's just like shocked. And my coworker that I'm with is like tells my boss, he's like, Tyler wakes up at 5 a.m. to start his day so he can either go to the gym or he can start drawing. And then he stays up till 11 or 12 working on his comic book business. And she was like shocked. And you're right. It's like, if I'm not drawing, I'm either working on this online, I'm working on these courses that I'm making right now, or I'm working on a YouTube video, or I'm writing a new script, or I'm working something in comics, something comic book related, something that has to do with the Draw and Talk comics business. Um, and so, in terms of the girl with the mega fists, I'm constantly breathing that story. I'm constantly thinking about it, constantly doodling it on papers. Um, and like I have like whenever I'm in meetings at work, I just have just have a sheet of printer paper, and I'm just doodling like moments that I'm excited to draw
See,
in the
this is
book.
interesting because the thing about me is that, and this is just my impression of you when you're talking about it, is that I don't think people realize how hard people work until conversations like this occur. And it's the idea that, and then just I'm reflecting into my own business when you're speaking, you know, I don't think people, I'm not working the same necessarily like you are, because a lot of what I do is thinking. So, well, I'll be watching a television show, but I'm saying, okay, cool, what is this book going to do? And I've also been doing, my eBay business for so long that I just get a gut feeling. But at the same time, I'm always thinking and say, hey, how can I promote it? What is going to be the next thing? What is going to be coming up on this live stream that I need to look at? And, it's so interesting. Even just the understanding of how hard somebody works for something. And I think people just don't appreciate it. And
Or
I
like,
think, yeah, what were we saying?
well, I was gonna say as well, if I'm not doing something in terms of like execution, I'm then in education mode. Like I try to make sure I read a book a week, not a comic book, like a business and marketing book. And I've got like this notepad, and I just every time I read a book, I fill up a page of this sketchbook of like these are the things I learned. This is how I'm going to implement it. And then so I read the book on Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday to Saturday, it's like okay, now how do now it's implementing it. And so I think it's another thing that is like people, one, they don't understand the work that has to be done, and two, I don't think they realize how much education is needed for a lot of this stuff. um like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you have to learn stuff.
I don't think people have any idea how much information I read on stocks and on comics and on trends. I'm fortunate enough that what people don't understand, part of this show is that it gives me insight into trends. It gives me insight. Today alone, I spoke to Travis Gibb. I spoke to a cosplayer out in LA. Obviously, I think you're
You talked to
a.
Travis Gibb?
I did. I know he's a horrible human
Did you
being,
did
isn't
he
he?
ta- did he bring did he bring up Coins of Judas?
Yeah, he's trying to get me that 50 print run in. That's it.
Wait, are you serious? Did he tell you that I'm drawing it?
No, 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 no.
That's
He said you two are working on it.
Yeah, okay. I just
That's what
thought,
he's.
yeah, that's the book I'm contracted to draw right now. That's what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
working
yeah,
on,
yeah.
is
And
Coins of
then it's going to
Judas.
be in Diamond, and then it's going to go to Kickstarter later.
Uh
But
huh.
we were talking about retail and the fact that if you want to get a retail exclusive store, it's you have to order 50 versus 250, which
Uh huh.
is much easier, by the way, to sell because it's less capital.
For
And also
sure.
to move 50 books is a fuck ton easier than moving 250 books. Moving
100%.
250 books is hard. I know because I move 250 books a year plus. It's hard. It's freaking hard.
Like what's great about that number is because yeah, if any retailer wants a retailer exclusive cover, and we're already doing like 4 or 5, it's like the amount's great. I'm going to order my own retailer exclusive cover. It's going to be a Draw Comics exclusive cover.
I might.
that you can
I mean,
only
if I'm
get.
allowed to, I'm thinking about it, and if I'm allowed to, I mean, it'll be good for me on an eBay level because it's exclusivity, and exclusivity is king.
And at 50, like 50, that's a great number. And so, but
I
yeah,
mean,
like it's
yeah.
no, go for it.
No. You. I interrupted you, so please.
I was just say like so like just like with talking with people. I mean, that's one benefit of like, yeah, you having this podcast. You get to talk with people, learn trends, see what other people doing. I mean, that's the reason why I started my show the same way. Is like, oh, I need to learn something. Hey, guest, do you want to come on my show and promote stuff? And I'm going to ask you the questions that I'm going to then take internally and then learn from. Um, and so yeah, I think a lot of creators, they don't realize how hard it is. They don't realize how long it's going to take them, and then as well, they don't look at like the opportunity cost of if I watch the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus, I've now lost 10 hours that I could have implemented something that will make me money forever.
So I actually have a slightly different position. So I actually just bought a scheduling app for $20 a year, right? And I've actually blocked out my time, right? And so right now, what I figured out is that on Mondays and Thursdays, I'm done. There's no way in hell because I go into my office on Monday and Thursday, and it's a 3-hour commute. So I wake up at like 6:30. I'm out of the house by 7:30. I get home around 6:30. And so I've already announced on Monday and Thursday, I might as well just watch as much television as I want because I'm clocked out, right? But then on
Mm-hmm.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I learn stuff and I work my ass off because I've realized that I'm not going to be effective on Thursdays and Mondays, which makes sense. So I build those in as day rests or rest days, and turns out that the other 5 days I'm superstar and I'm like Superman. Those 2 days, kryptonite is out, and I think that's important too, is to understand what days you use to reset.
Uh-huh.
But I agree with the thought of it, where if you're watching the new Star Wars shit and you're wasting a fuck ton of time, well, and you're doing that every night, there's no room to learn.
There's not just learn, like there's like if you're like, oh, I need to write this script, and you're like, I have no time, but then you tell me you had time to watch Kenobi. I'm like, you did have time, you just chose poorly. Like you chose to do the wrong thing. I mean, when people go, Tyler, how do you draw a 200-page manga in 4.5 months? I'm like, I have my head down and I'm drawing. There's no other way I can't give you any advice. There's no tips and tricks. There's no secrets. Tyler, how do you draw 100? How do you draw 200 pages in um in 4 months? I am drawing. I'm non-stop drawing. I don't.
I think people don't understand. I do 150 to 170 interviews a year. It's a lot. I know people who only do one interview a week. They're like, hey, dude, how do you do 4 to 5 interviews in a week? How do you do 4 interviews in a day? And I'm like, well, I reverse engineered it. If I know that I have 5 interviews today and tomorrow, I started writing last Wednesday. I didn't watch, something on television. I was busy actually researching and writing. And then guess what? A bunch of interviews that I did were booked 3 weeks ago. So I actually had my schedule built out 3 weeks ago for this, and then next week was built out 4 weeks ago. It's because I'm actually working and I'm actually doing a lot of shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just a matter that I just put in the time. And I used to watch a lot of anime. I watch maybe 350 episodes of anime in a year now, which is pretty good. I enjoy it. It relaxes me. But again, I do it on Mondays and Thursdays. And then I'll watch like 2 hours on my Saturday. And it's good, but I'm doing it out late. But come like 1 o'clock on Saturday, I'm working till like 9. And then I do my social media. I mean, I freaking build out my social media on Twitter and on Facebook, and I'm pushing shit out at like 4 a.m. for a reason. This isn't hard. I mean, it's exhausting. It's not hard. But I digress. But going back to that 50 print run, I think it's brilliant. I think it's great, and I think that I mean, I want to buy one. I might, because I mean, 50 is fantastic. It's low. It's a slow
it's a
print
great
run.
price.
What?
It's a great price. Yeah, I think it's a great idea too.
I mean, I could find an artist. I mean, the whole thing for me, since I'm not an artist, will be probably around. I could probably get it around. I mean, if I'm under 600 on it, I'll be really good for 50 of them. I'll be in really good shape. And also 50, it's storage too. And I think this is the other thing too that creators don't understand is that if you're running a Kickstarter, maybe you want to have your own exclusive for outside of Kickstarter. And I think a lot of people don't understand this is that you can make a lot of money not on the Kickstarter, but in association with it.
How so?
No. So for instance, you could have your own variant that is not available on the Kickstarter of that book. So that if you have a
gotcha.
book, and I think a lot of creators don't realize that, or you could have almost a con exclusive book where doesn't have a name on it, but you just sell it at cons. And so now you have a driving force so that when you go to a convention, you have a book that's exclusively only sold at that table. And it's not sold on your web store, it's not sold, and it can only be bought at the con. And it's more special, and then you can upsell. And I think this is something that people forget. My favorite thing, we spoke about this the last time, was that I have a lot of merch on eBay. So people come in sometimes in my eBay store looking for a $10 book. And then I'm like, hey, look, by the way, I combine shipping. Let me know if there's anything else. I can give you a good deal. And so somebody came in looking for a book that was $20, and they wound up buying $300 worth of comics because I was combining shipping. I said, hey, look, let me know. We can work something out. We can make a deal. You make me an offer for this price. And the person's like, I need all these books and you're going to combine shipping, but I upsold them. And I think that's something that creators don't understand either.
Yeah, no, that's another thing I've been very interested on is how do you get, so Brian Pulido just did, I'm about to invest in some tentacle brushes, that's funny. Is that Brian Pulido just did $500,000 on his last Kickstarter, and the average backer spent $160. And I did the math that if I, using my average, if I did the same amount of backers as him using my dollar average, I would only make $97,000. So that's a massive difference. Same amount of backers, but he makes 500,000 and I make 97.
Well, let me ask you a question because this is actually relevant. In order for us to actually truly calculate this, we need to look at his last 3 Kickstarters, and I'll explain why. Because let's say that his last Kickstarter he did 400,000, and the one before that he did 300,000. What that tells us, and the backer number grew, and the price grew. And that tells us he did something that is very important, where he grew his backer and he grew the value of his backer. Because this is one of the problems that I think people in Kickstarter don't understand is that you could get 4 times your backer, but what if your backer value decreased? That means that you have a problem, right? That means that if they were spending $10, now they're spending $8, but you went up by more. That's sort of a wash, right?
Yes. No, absolutely.
What if you have something where you grow by 50 backers, but every backer is now spending $15 more? That's not, you might say, oh, I only grew by 50 backers. No. You grew by 50 backers, but you created more value. You have a more valued backer. Mm-hmm. And that's something that Brian Pulido has figured out. Where, and look, I don't know what the last one did, but I think the last one did less. And I'm not knocking him, and I hope that nobody interprets it that way. But it's very important on a number level that, so for instance, on my campaign, I think I did like $817 or $27. If I come back to Kickstarter for a podcast and I do 45 backers and I do $1,000 and the average backer spends $25, that's progress, right? I mean, I think my average backer spent $22. So now we're getting to a point where even if I only increase by $3, and so my question to you with your Kickstarter, and we don't have all the data, is what you want is you want more money and you want a higher valued backer. If that makes any sense.
No, yeah. No, and that's where you have to go, okay, what can I do to get that, you know? I mean, I look at like right now with the Common America campaign, they have less backers than their last Common America campaign, but their average backing dollar wise is more. And it's because they're providing more value. And so for me, it's like, okay, how do you get more how do you get more people to spend certain stuff? And that's how do you get higher ticket items? But you can't just have higher ticket items. They have to be of value to the person. And so I think that's something that I'm definitely exploring currently, with what I'm doing is like looking at that stuff. I mean, gosh, if you can sell one item to one person every single month for $10,000, you're golden. And so
Look at my deal with Mixum, right? It's fair to say that I think I had like 432 YouTube subscribers. I had a sponsorship deal with Mixum. I returned them over 5 figures in sales because, again, it was a high ticket printing item, right? So I didn't need to make a lot of sales. That's why that sponsorship was golden. I got called out on it by so many people. And I'm like, you don't get it, that everybody needed printing. And guess what? I returned a huge amount of money. People are like, oh, but your YouTube shit sucked. And I'm like, you still don't get it. I found the right audience.
yes,
I was in the right audience. I run a comic podcast that everybody needs printing when we're talking to indie creators and they need affordable printing. And Mixum was a competitive price, and that 5% made a fucking difference for somebody, because when pennies count and you could save $50, guess what? People will go, especially when they're early on and they didn't exactly do what they needed to do on their campaign.
yeah, people don't realize the value of having the right audience.
And I had the right audience, and it just basically told me something, and I think Brian Polito has figured something out, and I did my hat to. Now, I have never read Lady Death. It's every time it comes up, you know, I'm always in a weird situation financially. The next one that comes up, I will probably back to see what it's about. I think it's a okay product. I am impartial to it because I've never read it, so I can't give a fair assessment. But obviously, I recognize that the guy has increased his backer number and the value he kickstarts, but I don't know if his backers are more valuable or if it's both. And that's something that I just don't have the answer to, but that's easily find outable. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I think that's the key too. I mean, if I come back to Kickstarter, my goal is, I think I did 39 backers or 38 backers on my podcast. My goal is to do 45 and to do $1,000 because, and to get that number from 22 to 25. That would be the idea. Because that would mean that I'm moving in progress, and that's important to me. And I think it's very important that's just how I view it. But again, I set small goals because I'm not looking to blow anybody out of the water right now. But again, that's how I view it. But I'm in a different boat than everybody else. But I think that's what people in comics need to really do, is they need to figure out metrics, how to measure.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Can't disagree with you on that.
Anyway, I do want to talk about rewards because those are fun, and we got these right here.
Yeah,
I do like that Patreon exclusive. I mean, I'm pissed that I'm not a Patreon member.
So even if I offer the Patreon exclusive covers on Kickstarter. They're just limited because, like, let's say on Patreon I only have 35 people who get it, but I have to order a quantity of 50. Then I just use the extras and go, hey, they're on Kickstarter. They cost way more than what the Patreon people pay, but you can still get it. So like that Patreon exclusive cover is $45.
No, it's a good one, man. It's a good one. I mean, it's definitely anime-esque. The Pink Lightning is good, um, in regard, and then obviously I think just the regular cover is pretty good. I'm right now broke, so I'm gonna pass on
You're
the Patreon cover, but I am
you're
getting
good.
volume 22. Um, that's it right there. Also, there's stuff digitally. So if you're the type of person that A, lives in a foreign country, or B, you're like, hey, look, I'm not too sure if this is for me, and you want it digitally, you can get it digitally. Um, and then you could pretty much get any combination. So if you already have volume one, you could just get volume two. If you don't have volume one or two, you get both. And pretty much any combination. Or if you want to get people a bunch of Christmas presents, you could pick them up a copy of this book as well. And I'm pretty sure you're open to add-ons, right?
Yeah, there's a shit ton of add-ons.
And then there's the acrylic stand, which I don't have a picture for, so everybody's gonna have to deal with that problem on their
I
own.
know. I made it. I had to. The night before, I was like, crap. I normally add. I normally buy the perks that I do beforehand, and having this new baby, we had a second child, and so I'm like, I am so unprepared, and so I threw up this campaign like last minute. Um, and I don't know how, and so I had to make a mock up of the standee.
So that's what's out there in that regard. So you can get one of those things, and then there's some combo packs, and then there's some other stuff going on as well. I have it all. I have it all written, just because I know that you got the Draw and Talk everything bundle. So pretty much everything from Draw and Talk. If you want it, you can get it. You got the Mega Pack Volume 2 as well. And so there's just a lot of stuff in that regard. Also, there's a ton of add-ons. This right here, My Life as an RPG, which is a good one. I read that one. There's this one, Chefs Volume 1. So there's that right there. Is this the standard cover or?
That's the standard cover. This is also this is the canceled version of the series. So this is the one that I canceled 2 years ago, and now I'm rebooting it. So I don't know where this is gonna fall into. But it's not canonical. But you can basically kind of see this as this was Tyler's first iteration of the Chef's universe, and now he knows what he's doing with it
So
going
so
forward.
what is the one on Patreon then? Is that
That's
also
that's
just
that. That's the Chef's as well.
so is Chefs just getting rebooted and it's gonna figure out a new realm?
Yeah. So like the problem, yeah. So like this chef story, and it's actually not to say that this can't ever be canon. Um, the chef story that people have already read, the one that you just showed, it takes place like 6 or 7 years after like the origins of all the characters, and so like they're already like in their world established heroes, and then like we're gonna go the story, and so the reboot is starting from the very beginning and just going, this is the origins of these characters, how they met, and how they create the team and whatnot. So I don't know where the Pasta La Vista comes in, at all, but right now I just go, hey, I've got copies if you want them, take them.
And then there's this right here, which is cool.
Oh yeah, that's the Patreon variant, which it's funny. I sent Ben Dunn a bunch of artwork, and he was like, "Hey, I'm putting this on a Manga Z cover," and I'm like, oh, like, dang it, like, okay. So there will be the graphic novel variant, and then there will be a floppy version of that with that cover.
Yeah,
And
I got it all. I got it all, man. I got it all for you right here.
there's the prestige cover of Volume 1.
And then
15
and
bucks.
there's this right here too, which is Demons, the omnibus. So if you want to pretty much get the 370 pager, there you go. So pretty much anything that you want that you've done can be obtained essentially from my understanding. So if somebody wants something and you have it and it for whatever reason it's not listed here, I'm sure that something can be worked out.
Yeah, like there isn't like these are all the like I've worked on so many books. These are the ones that I'm like I'm proud of people looking at and reading them and associating my name. Like someone a couple weeks ago was like, "Hey Tyler, I found you on Tapastic," and I went, "Oh crap," because I have a book on there. And then someone was like, I found one of your books on Kablam," and I'm like, "Oh shit," because those are like really old works that like I'm like, please don't ever look at this. So
Isn't there like another one that was like a sci-fi thing you did?
yeah, that one's an add-on too here. It's called Entity. That one's also an add-on.
That's the one I might have missed. That's why because I thought that was pretty good. And I'm like, does Tyler hate that book? Like,
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, you just missed. Yeah, I still like that book very much. It doesn't have that in terms of all the other books that are here right now. It doesn't have that manga aesthetic. So that's kind of right now where it's kind of in this weird. I like it lives in this really weird realm of my stuff because My Life as RPG has a manga aesthetic, Demons has a manga aesthetic, Girl with the Mega Fist and Chef's manga aesthetic, and it's like, and then there's Entity, and it's very Western style.
yeah, no. I might have just missed the graphic. And I was like, oh man,
Oh no,
I thought I saw it, and I know that I've read it because what people don't understand is that the first interview that me and Tyler did, I actually read a lot of his stuff. Now I didn't read all of the Go with the Mega Fist because, well, reading a 200-page book and along with everything else is a little bit tough. But I read a good chunk of My Life as an RPG. I've read a good chunk of Entity. I've read parts of Demons, and so that's the thing when I don't think people understand. Like, I know your books.
mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know
Oh yeah,
how many
you
people
definitely know
know
my
your
catalog.
books. Yeah, I know your
Yeah,
catalog
no,
too.
you're definitely one of the few people who know my catalog for sure.
Now I don't know every little freaking detail that you did from like 15 years ago, but I know the draw into our catalog. But anyway, there's that, and then there's a bunch of other stuff too. And obviously, I know that you offer, consulting, an hour-long marketing thing. Which, if you suck at marketing or you just want the help, because I'm a strong believer that $200, I think it is, could save you 2 grand. And so, if you need the help and you need the support, I think that that's an option for you. And look, it can help you if you get your brain thinking. It could get you responding. I've done consulting on podcasting for people and it's helped and it's provided insight. And it was like a 3 hour thing when it's supposed to be an hour. So, more than happy to, you know, I guess state that hiring consultants sometimes helps.
Yeah, like sometimes like hiring a consultant, like like they might and sometimes it just how sometimes you'll just learn you'll sometimes they'll point you in a direction that you didn't think you needed. And so or they'll be like, "Yo, have you ever thought about this?" And then they'll go, "Oh, crap, I didn't." And then that right there could create so much wealth for you. I've spent so much money this year on books and courses and calls with people, and I'm a big believer now in just skip to the front of the line. Like, I'm okay now with like if I have a question, I'm now like I'm gonna pay for the answer. Oh, it's $90 for me to get the answer, or I can spend hours and hours trying to fail and learn it myself. No, let me pay the $90. Oh, that's the answer. Sweet. I just saved myself, you know, weeks and weeks and hours of just pain and suffering. That's my
I'm
belief.
similar to a degree, but again, so certain things you got to learn on your own. So, for instance, this is my whole thing with my class, right? Is I'm going to teach you the basics, and then you're going to get a real idea whether this is for you or not. I mean, the question in my class is that if you need the basics, this is it, and if you really want to do this, this is the foundation, and you're going to get it, and it's all there for you, and $40, guys. And I think but look, I need help, and at some point I'm going to take some classes on how to build better YouTube videos and other shit, and there you go. And I'm sure I'm going to take a marketing class or two at some point, but not right now because, well, I have an expensive bill on Friday coming, so it's going to be it's a nice toy. And then if you caught my last interview, you understand I have a fund opened. It's called my Ferrari fund, and I am buying myself a Lego Ferrari on Friday.
That's awesome.
A $450 Lego Ferrari at that.
Damn.
And so if anybody would like to donate, you get access to the OnlyFans, and you can watch me build my Ferrari while drinking and pontificating on the meaning of life. Because nobody is miserable when they're driving a Ferrari.
That's funny.
That's
funny.
I mean, I'm gonna get drunk. I'm gonna be playing with Legos. I'm telling you, this thing's gonna take off. It's gonna be the best OnlyFans channel ever. Whiskey and Legos. It's gonna be the channel, guys.
That's hilarious.
Watch this, because I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be like, I'm sick of nice big boobies in my face every freaking day on my OnlyFans, and you, sir, are bringing some wholesome content to OnlyFans.
Legos and drinking, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be behind a paywall, just because why wouldn't it be? I mean, I need to fund my purchase, so.
That's so funny.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen this, but this thing it's like 15 pounds, man. Like the Lego Ferrari is 15 pounds. It's not
that big.
Oh my God! Like the Lego Bugatti, the Chiron, that thing was like 11 pounds. The Sion, which is a Lambo, is like 12, and this thing's like 15. I mean, it's a car, dude. It's like 2 feet long. I mean, this thing's a beast.
Wow, I'm looking at this thing right now.
Oh, I mean, it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. I mean, I'll pull it up right now, and I'll show everybody what we got. Because this thing's going to be epic. It's going to be so sick, and then it's going to be fantastic. I'm gonna pull it up because I need to show everybody what I'm buying because I got a problem, and this is after I do this. I'm gonna stop spending money.
Here, just share my.
Oh, you want to share your screen?
Got it up. Yeah, I got it up right now.
Yeah. This thing looks awesome, right? It's like the greatest episode in the history of this show. Clearly. This thing looks awesome, doesn't it, right?
I'm not into cars or Legos.
But so this thing makes you happy.
That's nuts that you build the engine.
I mean, this isn't a kid's toy anymore. I mean, this is like see the blue one is the Bugatti Chiron. So that one I built that one. The green one's the Sion. So that's this one. I mean, this thing looks cool too, right?
This is funny. This is awesome. They're so big.
And then there should be a green one. That's the Sion, and I have that. So the green one's the Sion.
Dang.
These
are intricate builds.
So the Lamborghini Sion, they're asking $450 for it. Right. This is Lego, right?
Yeah.
That when I bought it was $380. So it's actually increased in price.
It's a very intricate build.
So what's actually crazy about this car in particular, and I just know so much about it, is that those rims on the tire were never produced before, and they were produced for this car only.
Really?
Yep.
That's funny.
I mean, this thing has gone up. It used to be $380, and now it's $450. I mean, this is like this is some expensive shit, dude. Like, I'm super stoked for it.
Yeah,
though.
it is.
Look, I don't go out and spend money. I make enough money that I can afford it. This is my first paycheck in 3.5 years at a job, and when it hits, I'm buying this car, and I'm gonna enjoy it. And as we need toys in life. I'm working my ass off for very little in my life, and if me buying my Ferrari makes me happy, and this, my Bugatti Sion took me about 60 hours to build.
Jeez, I just love it. Yeah, adults need toys, man.
It looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. It's amazing. And then there's like a Dodge Charger from Fast and Furious they have on Lego. I have a problem, and I know I have a problem.
We need to get you laid.
I've done that.
I don't know if.
It's been a while.
Oh, congrats.
It's been a while.
I don't know if it's
but
gonna help.
what can help?
I don't know if this is gonna pay dividends in the sexual
I'm in the process, and I haven't
your
said
sexual
this.
conquest dividend.
Yeah, but I'll have money, so that helps. I have money and I have
You'd be
whiskey.
like, "Hey,
Um,
girl, listen, I got money. You see my Lambo, my Bugatti. What color is my Bugatti? It's blue." And she'll be like, "Where is it?" It's on my shelf. It's on my shelf above my bed. You stare at it while we're doing it.
I haven't actually told anybody what I'm doing.
Oh,
And I'll tell you.
that's hilarious.
What did you say? Did you say something?
No, I said that's hilarious. I didn't say anything.
Oh, I
No.
didn't know if you said something. I didn't want to cut you off. I'm not that rude. It's just
Oh
terrible.
no,
Just
you're
terrible.
good.
Um, but I actually haven't told anybody, but I'm in the process of designing a Dodge Charger from Fast and Furious into an El Camino, and the goal for that would actually to be submit the design and sell it to Lego.
Oh, that's cool.
So the way you
That's an
technically
episode.
sell the way you sell to Lego is that there's something called the 10K Club. The 10K Club is that you submit a design and then people vote, and if it gets 10,000 votes, Lego considers to make it into an official Lego set.
Wow. So it's like
So
crowdfunding. It's like crowdfunding to get your thing made by Lego.
and then you get a royalty on it.
Oh, do you have to get 10,000 votes or $10,000?
10,000 votes.
Gotcha. That's a lot of votes.
So I'll tell you what Lego sets were actually done through this. The Voltron set. So there's a Lego Voltron set that was done. The Seinfeld set was done through it, and the Friends set was done through this.
Oh, that's cool.
But anyway, enough of that. I'm sure everybody now knows that I have a problem, and it's all right. I will say this though, my favorite weapon in wrestling is Legos because they hurt.
It's true.
It used to be thumbtacks, guys. Thumbtacks do not hurt as much as Lego blocks do. When you put somebody through a table, it's rough. If you put somebody through a Lego house, the match is over. It just is over. Is all I'm gonna say. But anyway, I do want to back out of everything. If somebody wants something from you, that's fine. I have one more question before I give you a chance to self-promote. When is One Piece going to end? Because I know how much you love talking about One Piece.
I like it's funny I talk about One Piece, but I don't even like read it. I think I think he's got another 5 years. I think he's gonna do another like 5 years on that book. Like he's like I'm almost done. I'm like, no, you're not. I think he has another.
It's safe to say that it is the greatest manga ever so far in the history of the entire freaking industry.
The greatest. You know what? I haven't. I can't get myself to read it, though. Out of mostly fear, because it's so like much dedication.
So me and my friend were talking about this because I told my friend that you had a One Piece video, and we were talking about it. And I said, watching it scares the shit out of me. Watching the anime, because that's a big time commitment. Reading it,
Oh, that's a massive
chapter,
time commitment.
yeah, I think reading it doesn't terrify me. At some point, I'm gonna read it. It's gonna take me like 3 months to read it from start to finish. Because reading a manga chapter is not the same as watching an anime.
No, correct.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
I
so
think it's definitely a book that I want to one day read and be like, I did it. Um, and I you know what? I think if I was ever to do any of this stuff full time, either comics or YouTube, I think I would inevitably do a video series where I review, like, I don't know, every volume of One Piece or every arc of One Piece.
me and my friends are talking about this, and we were thinking about doing the Great One Piece Watch along, where every week you watch 5 episodes, and on Sunday you talk about it.
Oh, that's cool.
It's crazy. I just had the voice actor Jinbei on, and we were talking about it. So it's I'm a One Piece guy. I love One Piece. I'm super stoked for November. The movie's coming.
Is that what?
One Piece, right?
Is
I'm
that?
stoked for it.
Are you excited for Chainsaw Man?
You know what it is? I'm okay with it. I wouldn't say I'm excited for it, but I'm gonna be watching it. I mean,
That's
it's
what
gonna
I'm
be
excited
fun.
for. I'm
I'm
excited for
excited for
Chainsaw Man.
I'm excited for the Witch of Mercury Gundam, because that thing's gonna be dope as shit.
I'm excited for My Dress Up Darling season 2. I said it.
That's okay. That's okay. You can be excited for it. I don't judge you. I'm perfectly fine with it. It's you and a variety of other people apparently.
I love Marin, and she wasn't 15. She'd be amazing, but
I
she's
enjoyed
15.
Shadow. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. We'll pretend we didn't hear that. As the son of an attorney, I'll just turn the other way.
I I haven't acted on it. She's not real.
I mean, I love Shadow House, but that's not the point. But anyway. Enough about this. I love One Piece. I think One Piece is one of the greatest things ever. I think Dragon Ball Z is amazing too. And I'm an anime weeboo. I mean, I am born and bred in anime. It has made me a fortune. Comics have made me a lot of money, and Sony's going to make me a lot of money once I buy their stock. So that's my point. But I digress on all that. I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. So where could people find you? Where could people bother you? Where could people hit you up? Where could people back the campaign? Where can people offer you advice? Not that you need it, but it's
I
always
always
fun.
I always love advice. Yeah, you guys can find me at youtube.com/drawntalk, where we try to post a new video every single week. That's the goal, at least. You can find me on Twitter at Tyler_C_world. Those are the two best places to find me. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, but those are the two places that I thrive: YouTube and Twitter. And yeah, I've if you're watching this and the Kickstarter's over, you can go onto my website, drawandtalkcomics.com, and get yourself a copy. You can go on Amazon and get yourself a copy of that book as well. And yeah, no, I appreciate Andrew taking the time out of his night to talk with me. So thanks, man.
Yeah, anytime. And I'm just gonna keep saying it, and I said at the start of this episode, um, you have to support and you have to financially support projects that you like, shows that you like, ideas that you like. And again, I don't care if it's my show, I don't care if it's Tyler's book, I don't care if you're supporting Disney and watching She-Hulk. As long as you're supporting something and you're supporting something that you like, because if you don't, that shit goes away. And don't come bitching to me when it gets canceled. Every year, books get canceled, TV series get canceled, Netflix stuff gets canceled, comic books get canceled because they don't have enough sales. So if you like something, you should go out there and buy it. And whether it's my stuff again, Tyler's stuff, or somebody else's stuff, you got to support what you like, because otherwise it goes to the waste. As far as I'm concerned about me, obviously, I appreciate when people buy me a coffee. It means a lot to me. I appreciate when people send me stuff. I appreciate when people say thank you. It's a big deal. When people say, hey, thank you, I appreciate getting me on. If you'd like to invite me on your show, more than happy to talk about all sorts of fun stuff. And on that note, and there's some other stuff as well. Obviously, my comic class is coming in, I believe, the end of October is the idea. And so obviously be on the lookout for that if you want to learn the fundamentals. And pretty much that's everything I got. Again, my social media is down below. It's Pop Anime Comics, so you can check that stuff out. And that's pretty much everything I got. And on that note, I'm going to give Tyler the final word. So,
Guys, we're in the middle of a recession. The world's going to shit. At some point, you are going to have to take sides in your life. You might have someone, you're going to have to find like-minded individuals to group with. You're going to have to kill people in your group to show other people that you're strong and that you should be the leader. You're going to have to get skill sets that you were unprepared for. But because of this recession, the weak are going to die and the strong are going to live, but the rich will thrive. So if you're not rich but you're strong, do what you need to infiltrate the rich and take them out into the streets and take what's yours. This recession is going to kill so many people you do not want to be on the other end of it. Cold because we're going into a winter. There's 200 pages. Essentially, that's 2 days worth of kindling for a fire for $15. Joe Biden's not going to help you kindle any fire, but I will. Use my book to save your life. The end.
Well, I don't think I could have topped that. And that's this episode. And this show is clearly going to end. I do not know how I'm going to make it through tomorrow after that, because clearly this is the greatest ending that has ever occurred on this show. And so on that note, everybody, that is a wrap.